Hey guys, welcome to this next video. I actually have it in mid mode because we started working on a class, but we didn't finish it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna start from scratch again. So if you guys have this, that's awesome. We'll just start from scratch and see if it works. So first, what I'm gonna do here is I'm setting up using the Koa framework, which is a JavaScript framework. Let's see here. And let's see what Koa is real quick. All right, so Koa, next generation of web frameworks. It's for Node.JS. It's a new framework. It's basically built from the Express team, same team that did Express. This website right here shows you installation. It shows that they use async functions with Babel. It talks about the application itself. Gives you some tutorials on how to get started, but I'm gonna show you how to do it as well. It does have some information here, some settings. Talks about the app.listen, how to get your server up and running. Talks about callbacks, what a callback, well, it doesn't really say what a callback is, but it talks about using HTTP. Talks about application keys if you're doing APIs. Context, we'll use context in this video as well. It shows about error handling. Context, it gives more information. So this is a good site to get information. So if you're looking to do something specific that you're unsure of, that we don't talk about in this video, I'd recommend coming here and getting this information. So that would be a recommendation for me. It does have here, okay, cool. All right, so let's do this, and I'll use this once I get stopped going. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna create a new app, start from scratch. Right click, add project. Already had it here. So I'll go into application development. I'll call it my new, let's call it PPU app. And I'll hit open. All right, so first and foremost, I need to go to my terminal because I need to download some stuff. So if you're using a PC, I would recommend doing this, or not. If you're using a PC, you'll have to use PuTTY. Or you could use PowerShell as well. All right, so let me get to my location. I'm gonna go back, app development. Yep, and I'm gonna go into none of those. All right, what the heck did I save it as? Let's see here. Let's see what I saved it as. Real quick. PPU app is under documents, and then it's under, oh, I thought I put it under, oh, I put it under documents. All right, so that's why I couldn't find it. All right, so CD PPU app. All right, perfect. So we're in there now. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a sudo. Doing that because I have a Mac, npm initialize, and I'm doing a -y because what it does is it creates our JSON package, and what it does is I don't have to go through each one. I could just hit this, and it'll create the password, create the package after I enter my password. So as you see here, it created this JSON package, and it does everything for me, so I don't have to go through it and tell it what to do, what not to do. So to me, that's very beneficial. All right, so that's one thing. Next thing we need to do is install our Koa. So I'll do sudo npm install Koa. You could do it this way. You could also just put an I here and do Koa, and it'll do the same thing. So you could I or install, it'll do the same. Perfect. So that's been added. The next thing that I'm gonna add is I'm gonna add my NodeMon, because NodeMon is, it's a way, so when we have our Node.js server up and running, typically when you make a change, you have to stop the service, add a change, and then restart the service. If you have NodeMon running, then you don't have to do any of that. You could just let NodeMon run, and you could make changes as the service is running. So I'd recommend doing that. So I'm gonna do sudo npm I again for install, -d for development, and I'm gonna do NodeMon and hit enter. All right, so packages are added. Perfect. All right, so let's get started. Let's clear this up. Let's. I'm gonna create an app.js file. I have two ways. I could just come out here and right-click on it, but I'm gonna use touch app.js. It'll put that file out there for me. Perfect. So that's where I'm gonna start off at. But first and foremost, I'm gonna open up my package right here, and I'm gonna make a change to this. Where it says test, I am going to call it start. So what we're gonna do is, if I can type, I'm gonna set up my npm how I call it, how I initiate it. So then I'm going to remove this information here, and I'm going to type in nodemon app.js. So that way, when we go to start our service, it'll go to our application, car package, and we'll be able to start our service. So go ahead and hit save on that. All right, apparently it wants me to save it. Perfect. All right, so that's a start. All right, so let's go in our app.js and let's start writing some code. So we'll type in a constant, and I'll call it Koa, and I'll say it requires this library, which is the Koa library, which we added already. We'll also create a constant, and we'll call it app for application. You can call it anything. I'm going to call this the same thing as this here. And there we go. The next thing is I'm going to say I'm going to use this application. So I'm going to do app.use. I'm going to use that async that we talked about. And we're going to use the context that we talked about. We're going to do a callback right here. And we're going to use body equals, we'll say, let's go pens. All right. Next, we'll set up our listen port. So we'll do app.listen 3000, comma, callback console. We'll write in a console so you could actually go into the console, into the development, and whether you're using Firefox or what do you call it, Chrome, and you could look at it. And we'll say server started. Boom. Oops. Excellent. So now hit save. Open up your terminal, and we'll make sure I'm there. Oops. Make sure I'm there. All right, cool. I'm also going to set up a Git, which I should have already did this Git aspect, but I didn't. Let's see here. So all I need to do here is do nodemon. Actually, it should just be start app.js. Or is it nodemon? Hold on, let me think about where I'm at here. Goofball, you type in npm start. Oh, what I was thinking. All right. So, okay, so this happens all the time for me. So this is actually a good exercise. Let me show you how to get rid of that. 1 second. So if you hit Control-Z, it just means that one of your ports are open. Typically, if you close the terminal or reopen it, which is a pain in the butt, I'll just do kill all -9 node. And typically this works. It kills everything and it allows me to start it up. All right, so now as you see here, my service is up and running, which is good. So let me get that screen I had over here. And I can just type in localhost 3000 and it says let's go pens. So then you could come into your inspect or however you do it, and you can come into the console and you could look at if there's any user messages in there. So you could write stuff that goes here and look at it in here as well. So that's a bonus. All right, so let's go pens worked. So that's a start to our application. So first part is done, not too bad. So we'll leave that service running. All right. All right, so now let's pull up terminal. We're going to actually, you know what? So instead of stopping the service, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open another terminal. And this one here is going to be used just for doing installations. So let's need to fix that Mongo thing. So let's do cd documents /ppu app. Perfect. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna install a new service. Make this a little bit bigger. Sudo npm I for installation. We're gonna do Koa.json and hit enter. So we're going to use another package in our app. So we did that. So we're going to have two terminals going, one for installation, one for a service running. So we don't have to stop it. Okay. So up here, I'm going to add a new requirement, constant, JSON, whatever you want to call it, equals acquire. And what's cool about Koa, everything starts with Koa. So Koa, JSON. Excellent. So now I'm gonna make some space here and keep our requirements there, our application usage, but now we have to tell the program that we're gonna use JSON as well. So we'll do an app.use JSON. I don't know why I can't say it. And then we'll close it out just like that. All right, so now we have up here, we have app use async CTX equals body. So what we're going to do here is we're going to change it up a little bit. So let's say that we wanted to do a web service call. So what we could do here is, let's just copy this real quick. I'm going to comment it out and paste this below so I can make changes. Oops, yeah. All right, so we have our CTX callback, our body equals, but what we could do here is we could put a squiggly mark right here, and we could type in message. Actually, let's do a space, message. And then we could say, let's go pens, like that. And let's do a space here. Let's get rid of this extra space here. Perfect. And then we'll have another one here. And that's it. And then, see, we'll keep this the same. So what will happen here is it should change our message. So if we pull our message over here, it should change it. So let's save this. So you see that change, it didn't like it. So here's a good thing. Whatever we did, it didn't like, so maybe I did something wrong. So it picked up usage here, but it crashed. So Control Z, it'll probably want me to kill it. All right, so it crashed on, what did it crash on? Unexpected token at script 79. All right, app.js line 8. All right, so something's goofy and it doesn't like it. So let's see, what did I type in wrong? So we have our Koa, we have our JSON, we have our rock hard, Koa JSON, we have our Koa here, perfect. That looks good. App use async CTX equals, oh, I see what it is. This should be in parentheses. I have this parentheses here. You see I have one parentheses, but I'm missing one here. So I'll show you something cool what happens when this happens. So let's move this up here. When I fix it, this should automatically start back up for me. So let's do this right here. Let's save it. If it's gonna work, it'll pop up. See what happens? It starts the service automatically, which is cool though. It knew right away I had a problem. So now I'm gonna refresh it. And now you look at this, it looks like I have a message like a API call. So if I wanted to use this for a web service call, I can use it for web service calls, and I can make calls back and forth and receive information. Pretty cool stuff, I think. All right, so let's move on to the next part of it. All right, so now in this part, we're going to talk about installing a route. So what we want to happen here is we want to have a route and have a name. So for example, we want to have Pittsburgh. Now right now it's not going to go anywhere because we don't have anything. It'll just stay on this page. But we want to set up our own pages. Like if you went to someone's website, like for example, if you went to my Point Park, well mine's different though because I have it set up where it doesn't change anything. So maybe mine's a bad example, but because it's a single page app. But most apps might have a different page or something like that. You might have, let's see here. Let's use Sammy for example. Yeah. So Sammy, I think he has, yeah, so you see how he has portfolio.html or contact. Typically, if he was using a route, he would have contact like that, and it would pull up this page. So that's kind of what we're going for. How that ended up, I'm on Sammy's homepage. How about that? All right, so, all right, moving back over to our code. Sweet. All right, so we want to talk about router. So guess what we have to do? Well, I'm going to move this out of here for a second. And we need to do an install again. So sudo let me think what the router is. npm I Koa router. Enter. Uh-oh. The reason I'm going this approach is I want to show you every time that we need to use something that we add something to it. Now you notice, okay, restart a service because it notices something happened, something was added. So we are going to add the router. So I'm going to come down here and do a constant, and we'll do Koa router equals require Koa router. Perfect. So now, what do you think we have to do? If this is a class, I would tell you guess. So as you notice here, we do the same thing. So the first thing we do is we import a library that we're going to use. And then the next thing we're going to use here is we're going to follow this same sequence here. So we have application, we need to create a new object. So if you're thinking this is exactly what we're going to do. I'll call it router, you can call it anything. And I'll call it Koa router. Perfect. Just like that. Okay. So then next we have to set up a, let's see, we have to set up, let me think here. We need to set up a router so that we could get our, so we need to set up a router to get our location where we're doing it. And then we have to show that we're using the router. And, okay. All right, so let's keep that there. So in order to do that, we're going to have to comment this out because we're not going to use it anymore, but I'll wait till I get to that. Well, let's just comment it out now. So this is not going to, because what we're going to do is we're going to do something differently. We're not going to call that like, well, take that off. So this right here is just like that. So we're going to get rid of that. Okay. So let's comment this out. So that'll probably stop working here in a moment. Well, only if I hit save. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is come down here a little bit. I'm gonna do router.get, and I'm gonna give it a route location. So we'll call it Pittsburgh. And I'll do comma, CTX, our contacts, callback. Do it right this time, CTX. So this looks similar to what we have up there. Body equals, and we'll say, let's go Pens. You know, I'm gonna say let's go Cavs. Let's go Cavs. So we have 1, 2. We close it. Perfect. So that is our app use. Then we want to talk about our middleware. So middleware. So let's go back here real quick. So middleware is, it's basically functions. It returns some type of callback, next, what location it's going, is it going to run, is it not going to run, is it going to be invoked, so forth. So that is like a guide in a sense. So let's go down here and let's move this up a little bit. And I'll say app.use, and then I'll say router.routes, routes, whatever you want to call it. And we'll say .use, and then we'll do router, and now we're going to say that allow methods. We're going to say allow this to happen. We should have, yeah, perfect. So we now have our middleware, and I think that's all we need. Pretty sure. Well, we'll find out in a second if it doesn't work. So let's hit save. Server started, so that's a good sign. So let's pull this over here. Type in Pittsburgh. It says let's go Cavs. So I'm actually going to go back here and change this to, sorry guys, I'll just make it Cavs. I could say Cleveland, but it's probably not a good thing right now. So I'll hit save. And I'll change it to Cavs. And let's go Cavs. Just like that. So that is how you set up your directory. Now, we're putting in here, we're hard-coding some values, but there'll be other ways that you can set up the page and put data on the page. Okay, so let me check our time here. So I'll make this video too long. We're at 20 minutes already, so not too bad. I think the next thing that we'll do is, the next step is pretty intensive. We're going to create the index, and it's a lot of coding to get through that part. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop here and then come back for another video, and I'll introduce how to do the index. So on the index, we're going to add some code to, we're going to add another library. And then after we add the library, we're going to add some pages to go with it and so forth. So I'll stop here for now, and I'll come back for another video. So this is part 1 of setting up Koa Node.js library. Thanks for watching, guys.